This is Teacher Mark. Our lesson for today is all about beneficial and harmful interaction among living things. So, as you can see, there is a diagram. So, beneficial and harmful effects, interaction among living things. So, in this part, interacting with one another, interacting among living things and environmental conditions for survival. Under interacting with one another, food chain consult of producer, consumer, and decomposer. While in interacting among living things, mutualism, commensalism, parasitism, predation, competition, and environmental condition for survival, plants needs and animal needs, and the effects of this environment. So, food chain. It is the transfer of food energy for plants to animal and then to another animal. Most food chains start with the green plants making food energy from the sun. So this is the grass, an example of food chain, grass, a deer, a tiger, and then the decomposer or the bacteria something. So this is the producer, first consumer, the second consumer, and the decomposer. And then on the producer, in this picture, grass is the producer, deer is the first consumer, and the second consumer is the tiger, and the decomposer is the bacteria. So producer, plants are producer or autotrophs. It does need to feed on other organisms because they are making their own food. Next, consumer. Consumer is the other organism which eat other organism for food are called consumer. It is also called heterotrophs, and animal and human are heterotrophs. So herbivores, animals that eat grass or other plants. So these are the example of herbivores. So as you may see in the picture, zebra, the cow, the elephant, the giraffe, and the rabbit. They only eat grass and other plants. Next is the carnivores. Animals that eat flesh meat or other animals. Carnivores, they eat flesh meat, so such as tiger, lion, I think alligator, snake, and the chameleons. Right. The next is the omnivores. So omnivores, animals that eat both flesh meat or other animals and plants or grass. So humans, chicken, a bear, a pig, and lots more. So decomposer. What is decomposer? Organism feed on decaying matter. It is also called detritus feeders. It digests dead bodies and waste. It uses the energy stored in this substance to carry out life process. So there are types of decomposer. One is bacteria, two is slime molds, and last one is the fungi. So bacteria is this organism are the most abundant in environment. They contain energy by breaking down organic material. Slime, these are the fungus-like organisms found in decaying leaves, rotting logs when they engulf bacteria and particles of organic matter. They are usually yellow and orange color. And lastly, type of decomposer is fungi. They obtain nutrients by breaking down substances stored in bodies or waste of other organisms such as yeast. Also a fungus used in making bread, wine, and cheese. So, these are the examples of the composer. So, these are the pictures of bacteria, the slime mold, and then the fungi. So, interaction among living things. So, it's just simply as called symbiotic relationship. So, living organisms depend on each other for food, shelter, survival. In ecosystem, living things or members of different species interact with one another through this relationship. So, this kind of symbiotic relationship are mutualism, commensalism, competition, predation, and lastly, the parasitism. So let's talk about first, the mutualism. So mutualism is that both living things are benefited. So example, the sea anemone and the clownfish. Okay, the coral reef has this kind of interaction. They help each other survive in the ocean. The clownfish clean the sea anemone while the sea anemone benefited for it. So they are both benefited. While here at the bees and flower, they are both benefited. It is because the bees suck the nectar came from the flower while the pollen grains will stick out to the body part of the bees, and then it will transfer to other flower, then it will turn into pollination. So they are both benefited. Next, commensalism. Commensalism, one organism benefits from another organism without affecting or harming the other. So only one organism only benefited with this, but greatly that there is no the other one has no effect or harming for it. So the example of these are the horses and the bird, and then the deer and the spider. As you can see, the bird standing at the back of the horse. So there's no affected or there's no harmful effect when the bird is standing at the back of the horse. And while in the other hand, the spider and the deer, as you may see, the spider has a house or the spider web or a web at the horns of the anther of the deer. So there's no harmful with that. So commensalism, one organism benefits from another, but they don't affect or the other one can't affect the others organism. So next is parasitism. Parasitism, one organism called parasite benefits while the other organism. So the parasite benefits with the other organism. That's what you call parasite. And the host is harmed but usually not killed. So it's just like the relationship wherein the parasite benefits for this organism while the host it harms but usually not killed. But later on they will kill slowly. Okay, so first example of this is the tick and the animal or the dog. The tick suck blood came from the dog. The tick called the parasite and the host is the dog. And the other picture is the mosquito and the human skin. So the mosquito suck the blood came from the human, and then it leaves some, like dengue. Okay, so therefore in this scenario, one is parasite which is benefited from the human, and the host is the human. So, the mosquito and the human. Next. Predation. What is predation? Predation is the predator, usually bigger and stronger organism, hunts and feeds on the prey, smaller organisms. So the predator, they're usually the organism that eats its prey. So the prey is the one, killed. Okay. So for example, in this picture, as you can see, the tiger eats the zebra. So the tiger and the zebra, the predator here is the tiger. Then the zebra is the prey or its prey. And then the other picture is the bear and the fish. So the bear is the predator and its prey is the fish. So the big difference between the predation and uh, parasitism, predation instantly killed, while in parasitism, it's killed slowly. Okay? Even though predator is only one who benefited for it, but the thing there is, it kills instantly. Next, competition. Competition is organism fight, struggle, search for the same basic needs, such as food, shelter, sunlight, nesting sites, minerals, and mating partners. The interaction happens in habitat with limited resources. So in this part, competition, as you can see in the picture, the first picture, that is the plant farm of the pecha. As you can see, there's a limited source of soil. So there are lots of petri plant. Therefore, they are this is what you call the relationship, which is they competed for the same minerals, okay, same sunlight, even though the sunlight is abundant for it. But the thing there is the minerals and the water on that particular garden or a particular farm, they are competing with each other. So that is the first pictures, plant and petri in the farm. And then the second picture is the hyena. Okay, so this is the what you call spotted hyena. This is also you can find it in Africa, where as you can see, they are competing with the same meat. There are many hyena, but as you can see, they are competing for the food. Okay, so therefore there is a relationship wherein you compete with each other. Even in the same part, the people. Okay, there is something competition. Okay. So sometimes it is an habitat wherein there's only limited resources. So that's the last symbiotic relationship. Let's move on for the next part. The plant's needs. So these are the plant's needs. Sunlight. We all know that sunlight, water, air, soil, or the minerals came from it. So those are the plant's needs to order to survive in the wildlife. By the wildlife, it means is also in tropical rainforest. Next, animal needs. So animal needs, they need food, water, air, and shelter. Okay, so they need to food to survive, water, and such air. Okay, what are the effects of the environment? So the effects of environment, animal habitats are destroyed by humans due to increasing population, expansion of towns and cities. Wildlife is displaced. As you can see, you may encounter in some part of the province of the Philippines, here in the Philippines, the snakes came from the house because the forest is, it's just like destroying now. Why? Because the trees cut down, more animals go hungry, they need to survive, they need to hunt some food. But if you don't have a home or the shelter like the tropical forest, therefore they need to find in another place, such as, the answer is the city. They look for find it because there is no uh food that they can hunt for the forest. And then lastly, these organisms will also be fewer numbers. As you can see in our picture below, the water pollution and then the deforestation. So these are the effects of the environment of this kind of relationship. So you can see that, but more on I think the real loss with this is not the human, not only the human, but also the wildlife. Okay. So next, that various type of interaction exists among living things in an ecosystem. Some interaction may be beneficial, such as mutualism and commensalism, while other interaction may be harmful, such as parasitism, predation, and competition. And lastly, based on how they obtain food and energy, organisms may be grouped into producer, consumer, and decomposer. So for that, thank you. Hope you something learned for Teacher Mark.